Who is Sapna?
A chef who didn't know how to cook.
Okay.
And I was forced to figure out how to cook so I can put dinner on the table. That's how bad. No, I didn't know how to make tea even. Like, your masala tea. Nothing.
This week, we're in Kuala Lumpur with a chef whose culinary story began far from the kitchen and far away from home. Sapna Anand is an Indian-born, Malaysian-based chef, cookbook author, TV host, and culinary instructor at Le Cordon Bleu, Malaysia. Celebrated as Malaysia's very own spice queen.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm an excellent practical chef instructor at Le Cordon Bleu. I run culinary trips to India now.
The new Indian kitchen was launched a year back. It's about original Indian recipes from my family and friends and my travels, but using modern techniques.
I think I created my own identity based on where I am.
Which is
With an Indian mix, yes. And I don't cook very much like how they would cook in a restaurant, or very much the traditional mom's recipes of my grandmother.
In this episode, we talk about how identity evolves through food, from immigrant kitchens to culinary classrooms, why spice is about restraint and respect, how traditions adapt as families move across continents, and why preserving food heritage isn't about resisting change, it's about remembering where flavor begins.
What we forget is that is the main ingredient, that's the hero ingredient, not the spices. Sometimes they use so much that they have forgotten how to be used. We are talking about our own place here in Malaysia, where the best rendang and the best, this is where the spices come from in Asia. But we forget, the generation is forgetting how is it actually used.
This is a story of migration, memory, and mastery, from Kerala to Kuala Lumpur with chef Sapna Anand.
No, I take my words back.
Who is Sapna?
A chef who didn't know how to cook.
Okay.
Until I got married, which was at a young age of 22, 23. And I moved to America. And I was forced to figure out how to cook so I can put dinner on the table. That's how bad. No, I didn't know how to make tea even. Like, your masala tea. Nothing. I grew up with very good resources. We had helpers. We had my mom cooking great food. I didn't need to cook. I could just go help her out once in a while and just watch her cook, but I really never got down to cooking. But it was when we moved to America after I got married, living in Oakland Hills, not much around.
And back in the days.
Back in the days, you need to take a car and drive miles to go to get a grocery store. So you're kind of forced to figure out, no restaurants, by the way, forced to figure out what to eat and try to cook. First few days, my husband did. And then after a while, he was like, listen, I have to work. You need to figure this out. So eventually, I got around to learn to cook. And I started experimenting. It wasn't great. Every time I had to call mom, and those days, there was no internet, no WhatsApp. So you do the scratch card.
The cards, yes.
And then you have 20 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes to a call. And then you're trying to get 15 minutes of recipes and 5 minutes of, mom, you okay or not? That's about it. Yeah. And I got most of my recipes through mom. And then I started exploring cookbooks.
Right.
It is when I started looking at cookbooks, I kind of got excited. Started listening. There's so much more to my mom's cooking. I started exchanging recipes with my mom then, after looking at the cookbooks. And my first cookbook was Julie Sahani. She's an American Indian author. And my first cookbook was hers, and I still have it. And she makes recipes very simple, especially for the American Indians who are there, based on what's available there. And that is my first story of cooking. Literally, I started cooking as what your topic today is, an immigrant.
Right.
Cook. So that is how Chef Sapna became what I am today. Started learning recipes, started adapting recipes based on what was available locally. I moved from America to Belfast. There I learned something new. I then slowly started taking up jobs or internships and just for fun sessions with chefs there in
Right.
Ireland.
Right.
And slowly, I kind of started to enjoy not just home cooking, but cooking in a professional kitchen. Moved to Malaysia. I have kids, and so I couldn't really get into a professional kitchen. So I spent a bit of time with them, but I started cooking for the kids. Then everything changed, it starts to become a little more different because then you're looking at kids, they're picky, they're different. And then in the midst of that, I'm trying to teach them Indian culture, what we like to eat. So I would cook recipes, what my mom used to cook for me.
Okay, we kind of get who Chef Sapna is, and I think before I go any further, if you're listening to this just on the podcast, if you hear sounds, noise in the background, please forgive us because we are shooting directly at the Cordon Bleu Malaysia kitchen. I just really want to make it really raw, and I just want to be back home. I say this is so much nostalgia for us, and it's like an opportunity that I want to thank Le Cordon Bleu Malaysia for allowing us to actually record in the kitchen itself where we used to teach, and the real kitchen. So you hear like the dishwashers like screaming and shouting in the background, and like maybe the dishes and the students walking around, and but yeah, so I absolutely love being back here. But yeah, so going back to your story, which I think was very interesting. But let me ask you, like, hands down, do you remember the very first dish that you cooked based on like what was the first dish you asked your mother about?
Her prawn masala. It's one dish she would make every time we went back, or every time she wanted to cook something really nice and we would love to eat. Is just prawns cooked in an onion and spice paste. That's it. It's cooked in its own juices, and that is what until today it is. Even now, if I go back next week, I'm like, my mom, that will be one dish that's on the table there.
Yeah. So you have traveled so much, you lived so many places, and you've worked with so many kitchens and with so many chefs, right? But would you say that your culinary identity, first of all, is it Indian?
It's a very interesting question, and it's not an easy answer.
Right.
Because I think I created my own identity based on where I am.
Which is
with an Indian mix, yes. And I don't cook very much like how they would cook in a restaurant, or very much the traditional mom's recipes of my grandmother. I don't. Only because not all ingredients are available. Okay. So I really have to find my way through and
for example.
Came up with my own dishes. Like some of the really nice Kerala dishes which I grew up with. We don't get all the ingredients here. Some of the vegetables we don't get here. So I had to make do with what is here. So it's my own identity with a little bit of my mom's.
So you grew up in
Kerala,
right?
I grew up in Goa. Now that's another interesting story because my mom also, she grew up in Kerala, but she moved to Goa. And I grew up in Goa. Okay. So I am a Malayali. I'm from Kerala, but I grew up in Goa. So my mom alone is a real example. She started cooking. She's Malayali from Kerala. When she moved to Goa, she started cooking very differently from the way her mother cooked. Same reason, because all the ingredients were not available. And she got married at the young age of 17. She was like, then it was, for us, it was a call. And it was inland letters, those blue letters. She would have recipes from my grandmother, which was like, which she cannot. She says, my grandmother's handwriting, she could not understand a thing. She was figuring it out. Yeah. And in the process of figuring it out, she came up with her own recipe. And that is one recipe is prawn masala. Wow. It is not a very Kerala dish. It's my mom's signature dish, which she developed based on a little bit of knowledge she had from her mother. When she came here to Goa, she came up with her own. And now I am making this same prawn masala differently. That my doctor actually pointed out, Mom, you don't make mom's Kerala masala the same way. I have noticed it's different because I learned it from you. I learned it from her. Right. So now she's in Netherlands and she says, listen, I don't get this. I'm just going to make it. Right. And so now, with her growing up in Malaysia, she started to make a little bit of Malaysian, Indian, Dutch. So it's a mix of everything. So you can see 3 generations of the same thing, all in different levels.
you talk about Kerala, you talk about Goa, and sometimes one of the biggest trouble I have with people is when we talk about Asian food, right? They all put Asian food in one basket.
Yes.
Or when we say, oh, Indian food, oh, curry.
Yes.
You know, everything
And
is
it's
curry.
all butter chicken and chicken
Right?
tikka masala, which
So-
is not true.
Which tikka masala, actually, I don't think it was invented in India, right? So that's a whole new episode. Tikka masala was invented in the UK, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And so for you, if you were to describe to our listeners or people listening in, like, what is the main difference between the cuisines in the different parts of India? India is so huge, right?
Very diverse. It's so different. You go to south, even the ingredients they use is not used in the north.
For example.
For example, coconut oil,
Okay.
curry leaves.
Right?
No, it's
So
like
that's more
north.
southern.
Yes, it's all southern. Coconut, for example, is used less in the north. You know, and in the north we use a lot of cream. Here we would use coconut cream in south. So it's so diverse. Now go to the center, Rajasthan, which is more like this. That's completely different again. Then you go towards Bengal. It's mustard oil.
Wow.
You see what I mean? Let's just take 4 regions of India.
Yeah.
It's just 4
And you're just
different
talking
oil.
about the fat element, right?
Fat
of the dish,
element. And forget the spices is completely enough.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what kind of herbs or spices that your daughter can't find in Holland?
A lot.
People from Holland, please take note. We need more spice, which is so weird because
Yeah.
the Dutch came to Asia
Yes.
to get spices, right?
They do. They do. Now they do.
Oh, now
they do. Most of the spices
Mhm.
available. Actually, there are some very interesting spices one you wouldn't find here too. Because it's a mix of, they have the Indonesian spice mix. They have the Middle Eastern spice mix. You know, a lot of variations, which I discovered in my recent trip to Netherlands,
Mhm.
which I thought was interesting because I found they create their own spice mix
Yeah.
based on their Indonesian influence, a little
Yeah.
bit of Middle Eastern
Yeah,
influence.
because of history, yeah.
History, yeah.
Yeah,
So
So the Dutch
they
actually
have their
colonized
own, yes,
Indonesia for the longest
the
time.
Nutmeg.
So are you a person that believes in spice mixes?
Yes,
You know,
I
like,
do.
for example, you go to the store and there's a prawn masala mix and a chicken masala mix.
No.
Pre-mix.
No. That I was.
This was good.
No, I take my words back. No, I don't, because I personally feel that those flavors are made for easy use.
Mhm.
For those who are new to a cuisine and would just like to try something, yes, that makes sense. But if you are passionate in cooking and you have knowledge, I would say make your own spice mix.
Let's just break it down like really as simple as possible, right? What can you tell people in general? Okay, the difference would be in a spice mix for meat, seafood, fish. Is there a general way of differentiating?
Yes. For meats, and in fact, I have that session with the students here,
Mhm.
you know, in school, young Kotamil. And so, I always tell them, you have to be careful how you find the right combination of spices for the right, main ingredient, which could be your hero ingredient, which could be your fish, your red meats, or sauces, etc. The main thing what we forget while we cook is your hero ingredient is what you're going to consume. Meaning, it could be in it could be a vegetable,
Or a vegetable.
it could be a meat,
Yeah.
it could be a dairy product like a paneer or
Mhm.
like a block of
Tempeh.
tempeh. Yes. What we forget is that is the main ingredient. That's a hero ingredient, not the spices. The spices are supposed to go together with it to blend and then to enhance the flavors. Never add so much spices, the wrong spices. The main ingredient, which is the hero ingredient, is all gone. You cannot taste the fish anymore. You cannot taste the meat anymore. You cannot taste the tempeh anymore. That is supposed to help you to enhance flavor, not to overpower. So when you use fish, always use the sweet spices.
Mhm.
For example, fennel,
Mhm.
cardamom.
Mhm.
You could always come up with a combination of vanilla in your sauce that goes with the fish. You could do like a very simple herb and a cardamom, or even if you're using cloves, you just use very little of cloves. A good spice mix for meat, which is very some of the lambs and muttons or lambs and those cuts,
Cumin, right?
yeah, which are very strong, which are overpowering flavors. You could use something like black cardamom, You could use fennel, cinnamon. Yeah, something that's very strong. Nutmeg. Even if you play with just 2 spices, nutmeg and pepper in a cream sauce, you're done. That's all you need. You just need to enhance it to help the dish to taste better. That's the purpose of the spices.
So, in your opinion, it should be a meat curry, not a curry with meat.
Yeah,
I get you.
not the curry with me. Exactly.
That's
How many
interesting.
times, I'll give you a simple example. How many times you have gone to maybe some banana leaf, a lot of them are where you are tasting a lot of curry
Yeah.
and your eyes are burning, your
Yeah.
nose is, and your taste suddenly goes numb because the flavors of the curry powder is so strong that you're actually forgetting that you are eating crab. You're eating fish.
I've never thought of it that way, but it's interesting.
Right?
It's interesting. But I would argue with that because
It's tasty, yes, but
to a certain extent, yes, number one, it's tasty. Number two also is that it's also from history. In certain communities, like the Malaysian people, for example, one of the reasons why we use a lot of spices in, say, a rendang, right? A good rendang has to have a good amount of coriander
Yes.
and a little bit of cumin. It's the reason why by history is because we couldn't store meat for a very long time.
I agree. But the issue is, how much of it do you use?
Correct.
Sometimes they use so much that they have forgotten how to be used. And this is your own, we are talking about our own place here in Malaysia, where the best rendang and the best, this is where the spices come from in Asia. But we forget, the generation is forgetting, how is it actually used? How did our grandmothers use? They crushed it. They extracted the flavors from the spices. And then they added it into your rendang, correct?
Correct.
And they blended it with your rest of the ingredients like your galangal and your ginger and your garlic and your onions. But they knew how much to use.
Yeah.
Not just buy a paste or just mix it or just use a lot of it because you have it.
I guess.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it's true. It's true in the sense
Crab
like
is sweet.
it's
Crab is sweet.
a crab curry, not a curry crab.
For crab. It is sweet. Taste the crab, and the rest of it is supposed to enhance it for the sweetness to come out even more.
So to you, that is one of the biggest mistakes people do with
Yes.
spices, and I think the whole notion of restraint with spice is something that is very hard to learn. It's
And
not
respect,
evident. Yeah.
of an ingredient, how much to use, what to use.
Because it's true. I mean, I'm guilty of that. Sometimes when I think that it's not flavorful enough, because I add more powder because
And it's funny because sometimes it's not spices that you need. It could be the spices that you just need a little bit of lime, lemon,
you're right.
sugar or salt or herbs to then bring out the spice.
So if I speak from my style of cooking, for example, if you make a curry laksa, right? The curry laksa is the base, of course, is a broth.
Correct.
So the flavor actually is supposed to come from the broth. But when you mess the broth out or you're trying to rush through a broth, right? That's why you put a lot of curry powder so that it tastes more delicious.
Try to mask it.
Yeah.
That is what
Which is not the point of spices to you.
Correct.
Oh, interesting. I like this. Okay, so having been all around the world and working with so many other chefs, and now you trained in Cordon Bleu, was it Malay? No, you trained in Bangkok. And then now we work with French techniques and in a very French environment.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know that Le Cordon Bleu is French, let me tell you, it's as French as we can get. It is the oldest cooking school in the world. 1895. It is one of the institutions that is very proud of its French heritage, right? So with all these different influence, how did you stay true to who you are as an Asian chef?
It's very difficult because you get so excited. It doesn't help when you recently see the Instagram posts of the chefs trying to make fancy stuff, like foams and sauces and everything. It is very difficult. You get carried away, but then you have to come back. Like say, stop. You are missing the point. What are you trying to show? You're trying to make, for example, butter chicken. Stick to the real essence of butter chicken, which is the sauce and the way the chicken is grilled. But don't go so beyond with new trends that you forget what are you actually trying to give?
Which
Yes,
is butter
yes.
chicken is mukbani, right?
Murg makhani. Murg
Murg.
is chicken that's grilled in a tandoor oven, and the sauce that goes with it.
Which is a makni.
Yeah, makhani, which
Mak-
is butter. Makhani
Ah.
translates. Makhan means butter. It's a translation.
What is
Makhani
chicken?
is buttery. So what happens is what I learned here
Mm-hmm.
helps in creating and bringing finesse into this.
Mm-hmm.
But I really should know when to stop.
Mm-hmm.
How can I dress it up nicely?
Mm.
How can I plate it nicely? How do I respect my techniques and ingredients? Even though it's an Indian technique,
Mm.
there is a certain level of respect. And I think that is followed both in Indian cuisine as well as French cuisine. And you'll be quite surprised to see that how some of these techniques are quite similar.
Mm.
Slow cooking, cooking in its own juices,
Mm.
like onions, tomatoes, even the spices. You slow cook, you slow roast, you respect those ingredients, which is what is taught in North Kadabla. So really, really.
Yeah. And I think also similar, like when you were talking, I was like, yeah, this is very French also, because like I always remember all the chefs always tell us, like, if it's chicken, it should be tasting like chicken. If it's beef, it should be tasting like beef.
Exactly.
So like
Yeah.
instead of spices, they use herbs because they don't really have that much spices.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And it's used in moderation usually, which is why you can
Because
taste the meat.
you taste the technique for me when it
Technique,
comes to
yeah.
French cooking.
Correct.
A lot of the technique.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we do at Le Cordon Bleu. It's
Yeah.
about, we don't teach recipes. We
No,
teach techniques.
correct.
Exactly.
And then if you can use those techniques and bring it back to your own culture,
Mm-mm.
you would be quite surprised at how you are able to enhance your cuisine. People can then taste it, they look at all the levels of it. Yeah.
So you are the perfect person to ask this, because not only you've lived abroad, you are originally from India, and you lived in America, you lived in Belfast, you live in Malaysia, right? Because people don't get it, right? And they go, what is Malaysian Chinese food? Isn't it Chinese food? And I'm like, no, because
No,
if I
it's
served Malaysian Chinese food to the Chinese, they'd be like, this is not Chinese food.
Yes.
Right? So it's the same with the Indian food. For you, what is the difference between Malaysian Indian food and Indian food?
Indian food is, of course, the food that's available regionally in that region and the cuisine. Malaysian Indian food to me is very interesting. It would be the immigrants who came from India,
Mhm.
had those recipes from that region, came here and developed it and added or minus or added ingredients to create an Indian Malaysian food. I'll give you the simple example of it using pandan leaf. Malaysian Indian curries, they will use pandan leaf. It's used in Kerala in medication or in this, not really for cooking. There is a very small community that uses for desserts and but that is like very, very small community in northern part of Kerala. But it's interesting. I like the Malaysian Indian food because then you taste something similar yet different.
Yeah.
They use
It's a sense of
galanga.
vanilla actually that pandan gives,
Yeah, they use galangal in a different way. They use a lot of onion paste,
We do.
which is not something we do. We just cook
Slice it,
onion
yeah.
and slice and slowly.
Ah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it is the same thing. I love it. And actually, I do cook Indian Malaysian food in my house. My
Yeah.
son likes it because my kids grew up here. They know this. Of course, they know Indian food, but they do know a lot because they're exposed to, our food from outside, from restaurants, from their friends' homes. And then I cook something similar. So for them, this is the Indian food.
Right.
And now my daughter goes to Netherlands.
Mhm.
She's creating her own thing. And for her, that is going to be, and her kids, I'm assuming, would be, this is Indian food, which will be different again.
So internationally, right? What is the direction that you think Indian food is taking? Is it a good direction that we're going? Is it a bad direction? Is it like
Has both. One is we are forgetting recipes, we're forgetting techniques, we're forgetting what we do for what, why we are using spices, what is the techniques. But luckily, we have some really brilliant chefs and people who are advocating it, trying to keep the tradition alive. But we have lost it in transition over the generations. I wish we took trouble to educate the youngsters on how to cook and how grandmothers cooked. And why did we do a certain way? That's one thing I like about French. They documented everything.
Yes, very much.
I feel
Yeah,
we
do. The French
didn't as Asians.
Yeah.
Because in Malaysian culture, I know different people say we've got a little bit of Indonesian influence. We have a little bit of Chinese, but we don't know. We know how kind of our grandmother used to cook.
Yeah.
Now we use that and we do
Yeah.
that. I wish we learned, you know? You know what I mean? So it's got its pluses and minuses. Yes, now we are tasting something new,
Yeah.
but minuses, I hope we don't forget the traditional cooking. Some of the ingredients that were used, which is still available locally, are we blinded with? You know, we are not looking at, we're only looking, for example, broccoli and carrot. When there are actually regional, seasonal vegetables available, like certain kind of spinach.
No, but if you think about it that way, that every time, like your children, right, who now know a newer type of Indian cuisine, right, and if they are not educated on what it was, and they just keep on continue like creating new ones, then one day somebody will be like, okay, so this Indian cooking, like you said, it's not blinded. We don't even know that should be in Indian food and like Indian cooking, right? Because that
For them, that is what they know.
Yeah.
And we can't blame them because that's how they.
And the missing part in this is documentation.
Exactly. And I really, because I've been thinking of this for years, how I like how French documented it. And that's why a school like this here is still able to teach 100-year-old recipe and stick to it on principles. You know, they have, this is it. This is the mother sauce. Right?
And I hope this podcast also is a source of reference for researchers
and inspiration.
Because that's what food researchers do.
Alive.
We study traditions. We try to dig back at all the documentation. And you are right that, you know, in my line of work as a food researcher also, sometimes it's so hard for us to do research because there is no documentation. And, you know, because we're doing, this is considered social sciences and, you know, it's like, if there's no documentation, it's very hard for us to put it down in writing and say this was part of history. But what is the word history? But his, which I mean to be gender neutral now, is his or her story. So history is actually his story, right?
And
or
that
her story.
comes to authentic. What is authentic? No, there is no such thing as authentic, because as you move to your food is authentic, right? To your mom, her food is authentic. So you claim that is authentic, but then it's not right, or it's not
I
wrong.
think there's a difference between saying authentic, and I agree with you, and you're the first person who agrees with me. I don't know future whether people talk about this. I really don't believe in the word authenticity.
No.
Because for me,
There is
whenever,
no such word.
especially cooking, it's authentic to you. Right? You can't say that is not authentic.
It's personal. And there's a lot of wars, you know, you know, mine is the perfect recipe and this is what 100-year-old. I think, no, as people moved, even regionally, even in India, as people moved, people evolved. What is available, what their family likes, what their body can take. Yeah. They switched fats to what.
And the truth is there are other things that you can't control as well, like the environment, the weather, for example, right?
Correct.
The weather and the soil, it changes.
Yes.
So whenever the soil changes, the nutrients in the soil changes, whatever is absorbed by the vegetable or the plant, it will taste different because of the different nutrients. And then when the animal eats the plant, the meat will taste different.
Correct.
So you can't say that it's
the same. I'll give you an example of cassava, what you get here, tapioca. Right. It's such a common thing. But we eat in Kerala a lot of tapioca, but tapioca there is very different from the tapioca here. I wish I could give you a sample now and tell you and be like, oh my god.
It's the small ones, right?
No, it's also the big ones.
So like yuca,
but the taste is yuca. Yeah. But it's very different. And the yuca, what you get in
America is
different. Very different.
Yeah.
It will taste completely different. You'll be like, wait, how is it possible? Potato is a potato. Sweet potato is a sweet potato. Yeah. You know, tapioca is a tapioca. Yeah. And so towards the end, when you create a dish, it changes.
Yeah, because I remember when I first arrived to in America, one of the dishes that we actually love a lot. So I am Asian Chinese, and in China there's so many regions. So like there's like the Cantonese or the Hokkiens, so it's a different tribe altogether. And my father comes from the lineage of the Hakka lineage, and we have this yam rice. Right? And we call it yam rice. We call it yam, but yam is cassava. Cassava is yuca. But I cooked it with yuca. It is nothing like the yam rice that we have here. So I'm like...
Yeah, it's a different kind of yam.
Yeah. And then when you tell them about yams, Americans are like... So half my family is from Tennessee, right? And they're like, yams, you mean like for a dessert? I'm like, no, like we cook it savory. They're like, huh? You know,
How
so
is it possible?
it's so interesting.
Yeah.
But for you, what do you think is that one thing that we need to preserve that cannot change in your opinion?
Traditional recipes from where you come from. Don't try to change it. I worry that over time, just 2 generations, that recipe which is so good may not even exist. It'll be completely wiped out.
Yeah.
And that's not good. Then we've lost what we as an identity is about. What are we about?
Yeah.
What we then just become one in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do we identify ourselves to something very real? Is your regional cuisine.
So in saying that, correct me if I'm wrong, you have this show called Fast Indian Cooking,
Yes.
which focuses on modernizing
Yeah.
traditional dishes. What are the challenges that you face adapting, like you said, trying to preserve classical recipes, traditional recipes, and then your contemporary audience?
One is cooking time. I won't lie.
Mm-hmm.
When I say fast Indian cooking, I did. I had to keep to the
To the theme.
fast. So it is interesting that we have this notion that Asian cooking takes too long to cook. Not all. You would know in Chinese food, some of the best dishes are just stir fried or just steamed and just
Because again, chicken should taste like chicken.
chicken.
The less you play around with it,
The more, you don't put masalas and
That's true.
zing and
That's
things like that and cook till it doesn't have any flavor anymore. So I try to pick my family recipes, which are very simple, but sometimes I use things like what is available in modern kitchen with restriction of time. With modern families, we have families where both the parents are working. There's no time. So you use an oven instead of a gas stove. You use blenders. You know what I mean? Just pre-cooked sauces or safe sauces. So that's what I try to do in fast Indian cooking. Modernize, not just in presentation and in the dishes, but modernize the technique or style of cooking that is convenient to now, the present generation, and yet eat home cooked food. And yet try to eat as close as your ancestors.
I'm a true believer of that. I think the first step that we need to take, I truly believe, honestly, to solving eating problems and weight problems around the world. I know people will challenge me on this, that hormones play a role. Yeah, everything plays a role, right? But we as chefs, we focus on eating. And I think eating is a big part of eating problems, right? And the way we think about food is also something that's very important. So I always say that the first step is to eat at home. It really not only saves you a lot of calories, it saves you a lot of like medical bills later on because you actually know what you're putting in your body. I'm not saying that eating out is bad, but like not eating out all the time, right? Yeah. But in saying that as well, how do you, I don't know, sometimes it's like so challenging for me because like at one point we're trying to preserve tradition. At the same junction, we are also trying to adapt to the modern way of living, right? Do you think that we should actually change the modern way of living?
No.
Can we? Do you think?
No.
You have children. It's very practical, right?
It's very and it's tough. You cannot do that because you're putting pressure on yourself. Stop. Why do we eat? Why do we have dinner on a table? Why do we have food together? Why do we cook? To keep ourselves happy, for our souls, for our mind, for our body. If you're going to cook under pressure and you're going to cook because you really go and you hate it, you're losing the whole essence of cooking and the essence of eating. So I feel it's okay. Guys, let go. Enjoy. If you feel like you're missing mom's food, make it. But make it if you cannot make it today, make the paste today, do it tomorrow, chop, come up with
there's still
solutions. There are ways, but really you should have it within you. Many times the will to cook like that comes when you are sick and you're trying to fix your health, right? Or when you're like, okay, now I'm overweight and I want to, eat well. So I feel like you just said, it's just that little effort. That's all it's needed. But without pressure on yourself. That's it. And that effort doesn't come easy. But I think it comes with practice and discipline and, telling yourself, I'm going to do this. No
So
matter
what are your top 3 pre-made pastes that you should have in your fridge all the time?
Ginger garlic paste, I can tell you right now. Ginger garlic paste, and if possible, just an onion, tomato, cooked down, so that saves you time. So as soon as you have that, all you have to do is put the onion, tomato, which means onion that's slow cooked, tomato that's slow cooked and really soft.
Yeah.
And then you just add your meat or your ingredient or even your egg. And the second would be, if you can, just make your spice paste, which I do.
Okay.
I make all sorts of spice paste and I just put it into a Ziploc bag and leave it there. And I'm not talking about in Asian or Indian, even my Western pestos, sun-dried tomato paste, everything is pre-made and kept. So all I have to do is pull it out, put it into my dish, and I'm ready.
Okay. So the spice paste that you're talking about are the cooked stuff, the onion, garlic, shallots kind of thing, right?
Or your spice paste, which means your garam masala, which is your spice mix, which you
Okay.
need to blend. You can always put in a jar. Or yes, onion tomato mix.
So very practically for someone who doesn't cook,
Yeah.
those things that are wet goes in the fridge?
Freezer.
Freezer.
Nothing will happen.
Ah.
I put them in the freezer.
And the spices, dry spices, when you have mixed them
I
together?
put them in a fridge because
Fridge.
Malaysian weather, the humidity is so high that it starts to kick.
Yeah.
So I always have.
So there is no solution to, because everyone has this, I have this happen to me all the time.
no
it kicks up.
solution. It kicks
You have to
up.
put it in a fridge.
The people use rice powder, but then bugs will start coming for the rice powder, so it's not a
Yeah.
very good idea. Yeah,
So you
fridge and months it's fine.
Yeah.
I make coconut paste. I blend coconut. I blend all the spices and coriander and mint and all those things. I make my own just to put on barbecue chicken, for example. But it's there. I just take the chicken out, put it on, put it in the grill. I have a meal.
Okay, so make sure you guys follow Chef Sapna on her Instagram, which is Chef
Chef
Sapna. Because she's got a lot of recipes there as well. But I would say, like, with all the experience that you have, right? We talked earlier on a little bit about staying true to who we are, despite having been in different countries, working under different bosses of different cultures and all, and just trying to be as much as possible who we are. What would you advise young chefs who are going out there? Imagine your daughter wanting to be a chef.
Yeah.
First of all, I would say, are you sure you want to be a chef?
No, she doesn't want to be, but anyway, but she cooks very well. She cooks really well. I would say, when you go out as a chef, you are special in your way. I'm not going to give you the details on how, discipline and what the school tells you already. I'm sure they will teach you that. But I would say stay passionate, stay true to your identity, because for example, I tell my students here when they come, you've learned the French techniques, the best in the world. And now you have a little bit of the Asian culture and the Asian spices and knowledge of the Asian style of cooking. Imagine blending and marrying both together. You then become a signature, a person whose knowledge is beyond everyone else, because you are come with a power of so much knowledge on Asian cuisine, yet you have the base, the foundation of this world's best school. And there is nothing better than having a combination of that. That is what creates the new generation Michelin star chefs, because what do Michelin star chefs do? They create what is in their mind from what they have eaten, either from their chefs or from the previous work, from their mothers, grandmothers. You see all the Netflix shows, what you watch. The chef's table is what they grew up with, is what they now bring back in a very different way, through techniques, through, those flavors. They are then bringing their grandmother's flavors to the customer. That's what they come looking for, something different. So that's what I tell the young people, do not forget where you come from.
And this is your opportunity to address the world who thinks that Indian food is curry.
Travel to India. Taste every meal you can. Eat locally. Eat Indian food. If you're in Kerala, eat the Kerala food. If you're in Goa, go eat the Goan cuisine,
Yeah.
cooked by a Goan chef.
Yeah.
If you're in Mumbai, have the Maharashtrian Mumbai food.
Oh,
Don't go
wow.
eat pasta. Go to people's home.
Yeah. And I think
how they
Indians
cook.
are in general very friendly.
welcoming,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
friendly. Sign up for cooking classes at local homes. And now
Yeah.
after COVID, I know there are so many people who have opened doors to come
They
for
have.
classes, right? That's when you really...
And that's actually my favorite thing to do when I travel.
Yeah. And you get inspired.
Yeah, you get inspired and you are so touched by how it's usually the most simple cooking that really touches me, because not only it's so simple, it's because it's done by a nonna or done by a
Yes.
grandmother who opens her doors to you, her
Correct.
home to you.
Yeah.
And so whenever I travel, I always sign up for a cooking class, and I'll try to find the most the pictures are not the pictures are not too perfect.
Okay.
You know, if it's too perfect, I'm like, this too much. They have too much marketing budget or whatever. And so I think it was a tomato, right?
Yeah.
And you know how we are trained to take out the pen,
Yeah.
the top kind
Yeah.
of thing, right?
Yes.
I was like trying to cut it, and she was like, "What you doing?" And I was like, don't we need to take out the top?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, why are you wasting ingredients?"
Yeah.
So-
That's where even sometimes we take out the seeds and
Yeah.
the juices, but for us in Indian cooking, that's where the flavor is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's techniques, but maybe you take those juices if you're in tradition, and then create a tomato water out of
Yeah.
it.
So like in whatever,
You know
whatever.
what?
I think there are a lot of similarities with cuisine, and people will really, if you really go into how different people cook, it comes out number one, necessity, which means the environment, what they have, and
What they
whatever
have,
not,
yeah.
and who they have to feed, and it comes from a heart of not wasting as well.
Yes.
So even if we take out, like for example in French cooking, we take out the seeds, but we keep the seeds to do something else.
Correct.
Right? So it's always with that kind of thinking. I didn't have this mother story or grandmother story, right? I had a grandmother story, which was a little bit watered down kind of story, but it was out of necessity, and it is more towards the end, not end of my life, but because I changed careers, right? So initially I was supposed to be in corporate. After I changed my career, and when I started caring for my father, so you're right, health is always a trigger.
Yeah.
So when I started caring for my father who had cancer, then I started studying better ways of cooking and feeding him.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh wait, this is very much tied to our traditions and the way we used to cook.
Yeah.
And so then I start to learn more about it. And
Saying that, we also forget that how we ate. We are now eating. Asian culture is not used to bread, but sometimes when we eat something, it does not suit our body, and we forget, the trends and the diet trends and all that. We get carried away, but we forget.
yeah.
And rice is not bad, actually.
Rice is
We
not
really
bad.
know how to eat in moderation.
The truth is, you've got to remember, like rice. First of all, back in the days, in a lot of parts of Asia, there's no bread, except for Vietnam, right? Because of the
Yes.
French
Yeah.
influence. So you have rice, but they eat rice only, right?
Correct.
Now we're eating rice, we're eating bread, we're eating pasta, we're eating so many types of carbs, and then we are blaming rice,
Yeah.
which I feel
It's-
I don't agree, right?
No,
and
no,
then
it is not.
like if you say
And they're
for example-
overeating also
Yeah.
to what you need. You don't want to eat the whole. You get a nasi lemak. Yeah, you eat what you want. No need to eat like.
Correct. Because nasi lemak, or there's another rice in Malaysia called nasi tumpang. And it's done it's made and prepared in a cone, right? And the reason why it's done that way is because our ancestors used to bring it to the paddy fields and
Yes.
eat a little bit by little bit
Little bit.
while working very hard.
But yes.
What are you guys doing now?
So is nasi lemak. That was eaten for breakfast so that they can survive hard work throughout the day. That was their
Well, is
energy
that same
booster.
with Indian
In
cuisine?
Indian cuisine too, we have a rice in the morning, a rice based thing, and they eat a lot because that kept them throughout the whole day, survived throughout the whole day when they were farming.
Yeah.
They were out in the paddy fields.
Yeah.
Most of it was paddy fields. But of course, you have the north then. North, there's no rice. It's the wheat culture. But they ate chapatis and they ate a lot of rotis and chapatis. But they needed it because they were toiling in the wheat farms, and their body could take that because they were born and they had the genetics, to to digest it.
And tell me this, like the original rotis, right? It's not like the roti canai in Malaysia, right?
No,
Where it's
that is
so filled with oil and ghee and
No, that
This
is
is-
wheat.
it's
This is
wheat flour.
this is refined.
Right. because I think chapati is like wholemeal, right? Is it
Yes,
whole wheat?
whole
wheat,
wheat. You can
originally.
actually see the husk.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
brownish in color.
Yeah.
You can actually see the husk.
This is so interesting. Like, I also talked to another chef and I said, like, the next season, I hope that whoever has been on my show will continue to agree if we have another season, to come back. And I want to have like the rice series. Everyone just talks about rice.
Yes,
rice
and there's
soup.
so much to it.
Right?
Even when we here in Malaysia, I'm very proud to say that the Kodabla here actually is now starting to use Sarawakian rice
Yeah.
in all their cuisine, and they are adapting that, which is a very good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's then students also know, oh, see, they are appreciating our food and culture, which is interesting because then we get to learn how it is used. And yeah.
And I think, again, I'm a very proud Asian, but I also will tip my hats off to Le Cordon Bleu and the way a lot of French chefs are trained and their food philosophy of respecting the origins of food, not only origins of their food, but like this is a very good instance where Cordon Bleu, we're teaching children, kids or students here about the techniques. And one of the techniques of being a chef to me truly is to appreciate what you have around you, the ingredients that you have available.
Correct.
That's the best ingredients instead of flying it 10,000 miles,
Yeah.
right? Get whatever you can get
Yeah.
at the place. And it doesn't matter because it's not the recipes we're teaching, it's the technique that we're teaching.
Correct. And the plant-based program here right now is
Yeah.
100% local.
Yeah.
If it's not available, you don't make it.
Right. So in saying that, I know that Le Cordon Bleu International is listening to us.
Oh.
You can sponsor our next season. Okay, so we have come almost to the end of our show because I love sitting down with chefs and talk. I think what I get from you is a lot of in-depth
Yes.
knowledge because
This discussion can go
this
on
lady,
and on.
this chef, this lady has actually lived all her stories that she's telling you, and this is but the surface. But yeah, we have this segment now, which I call the Sambal Survey.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is, there are 3 sambals. You pick your favorite, but which sambal belongs to who and who cooked what is only revealed on our YouTube videos. So yeah, let's get down to the Sambal Survey. We have 3 sambals here. One which I cooked myself. One which is from a very famous nasi lemak chain. And one is from this very famous influencer in Malaysia who sold almost R1 million worth of sambals within, I think, like one live show on TikTok or something like that. So we're going to taste it. And to be impartial, as we taste it, I'm going to like blindfold myself. You're going to help me put it on my spoon. Yeah. Okay, so let's
I'm gonna
taste the
start
first
with
one.
The first one.
I like this one.
Mm.
This one is like very shrimpy.
Yes. And I can eat it.
It's very
don't
spicy.
But
But it's very spicy though. This one, I must say, this is a bit spicy.
it is.
What do you taste in the first one?
Nice flavors, yeah, but too spicy. That I was just speaking about it. I find anything too spicy and overpowering has finally lost the essence of its original.
So
Okay,
this is
that's the second one. Yeah. There.
I hate this one. I hope it's not mine. I don't think this is mine. This is definitely not mine.
Okay, the next one is also in your.
No, don't cheat. What do you think of this one?
Nice. A little rawish taste, meaning it has. I can taste the onions. It's not the sweetish side of the sambal.
So do you like that? Do you think it should be like this?
Definitely like this better than the first one. So after I tried the third one, I'll tell you which one is my favorite.
Okay.
Okay.
I think you would like this the best.
Yes. How did you know?
Because you tell me what you like in terms of flavor. So is the third one that you like? And for me, I always like the first one. So I hope the first one is mine.
I know there are many schools of thought,
Mm.
and some of them say sambal shouldn't be sweet.
No. Yeah.
Some of them say it should be spicy.
Yeah.
But I believe it should be a combination of everything.
Yeah.
So you asked me which is my favorite. Oh, it's tough.
Just say it. It's fine.
I think the last one.
The last one, okay? So Chef Sapna loves the last one. Even I can't tell you which one because I didn't know which is the first and last one.
Okay.
It is only revealed on the YouTube video. Make sure you check out the video, and of course, it will also help you understand a little bit more about the geography of India because we're gonna put in the map and stuff like that, and it will help you a little bit more. So with that, I would like to thank you, Chef Sapna, for making the time to speak with us today and join us.
You are most welcome. And I know we were trying to talk a lot, but it is not.
So this is my
so
invitation to you for the next season. Fingers crossed, we have few more seasons to go. I really don't want to stop this because honestly, my intention with this is to preserve everybody's story, and we have so many stories to tell, of course.
Yes.
But yeah, so and also this will be part of my research in the future, right?
Yeah. And we are passionate about this, so that makes a huge.
And also, like for food researchers out there, you can use whatever that is on this podcast as part of your data.
Your own
actually,
research.
Yeah. So if you want to use this as part of your data, just reach out to me. We even have transcripts available for you guys. I'm making everything so easy for you guys because I think I can't do it alone, right? So before we go, also for people who want to stay tuned to your progress and whatever you're doing next, your socials, maybe you want to share?
Yes, Chef Sapna, you can follow me. I'm doing a spice culinary tour. So you just travel with me and you can taste Kerala cuisine from the real, the base.
And I really need to put this out there because like this is called, some people call it a foodie tour, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, a lot of foodie tours out there, I'm not targeting anyone, but you know, being a chef, being guided by a chef who was born there, who has worked in the industry for so long.
Yes.
It's definitely, it will be an eye-opener for you guys.
It is because sometimes I feel when I travel, I don't know what to eat.
Now
this is going back to my hometown.
Yeah.
So you will, it's nice to know. And when I recommend, you must try something called pal kappa. It's like tapioca cooked in coconut milk and eaten with a beef curry.
Okay, we have that, but without the beef curry. That's interesting. Okay, we can go on and on. We've come to the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining us on the Hungry Immigrant. And thank you for allowing us to feel and be a little part of your hometown and where you are from. To all the listeners, as usual, my advice to you is always to keep your plates adventurous and your hearts open. This has been the Hungry Immigrant. My name is Abang Brian.